kind of hop nappy relatives. Ben Biwa, Tahushka, Hopi Miha. What's good, relatives? Hope everyone is doing well on this fine Saturday morning. Um, my apologies for not dropping a video yesterday. So I'm going to go ahead and do it today. And what we're going to be getting back into is the family history. So we're doing Delaware, Maryland. We're back on that side. And real quick story, something funny, or funny to me. I was looking at my, some of my genealogy, and it's funny. It popped into my head like the family that I was looking at. I wanted to, kind of make sure I had the right information. But it popped into my head that I'm doing the family history genealogies, and pretty much all of the family members, are from either the Maryland area or Virginia, North Carolina area. So, yeah, I looked up a family history that I'm tied to. So, and also when I come across any of the family names that I'm tied to, I'll point it out to you guys. So, all right. So enough of that. So we are going to go over probably quite a few of these. Video probably about an hour or so, or close to an hour. So let's dig in. All right. So first we have the Bass family. We have Sarah Bass, born in 1664. Was the mulatto daughter of a white woman and a Negro man, the servants of John White of Virginia. Sarah was about 8 years old on August 13, 1672, when John White brought her into Somerset County Court to have her bond to him as an apprentice. She agreed to serve him until the age of 21, and he gave her a cow and a calf and their increase on the condition that she serve her full term. She may have been the ancestor of Griffin Bass, head of a St. John's Hundred, Kent County, Delaware household of 15 other free. And sorry about that, relatives. And 1800, Griffin, it says he married Nicey or Unsey Durham, widow of Daniel Durham, before April 28th, 1801, when Daniel's Kent County, Delaware will was proved. Then there was also Phil Bass, head of a Talbot County household of 4 other free in 1800. All right, relatives. So that was the Bass family of Maryland, and you'll start to notice that we're going to get some of the same family surnames in both the Delaware, Maryland, and the Virginia, South or North Carolina, South Carolina. So hope you guys are noticing that. We did get not a very long history, but we did get some vital information in here. The surname, when she was born, in the county. All right, so Bass is your that ties to you. This is some good information you can dig into. All right, relatives, let's keep it moving. We got the Bates family. Benjamin Bates, born, say, 1731, was a mulatto bastard child who the Charles County, Maryland court sold to Peter Harrant on November 9th, 1731. He may have been the ancestor of the members of the Bates family who were living in nearby Virginia counties in 1810. It says John, head of a Prince William County household of 9 other free in 1810. He may have been the husband of Sophia Bates, whose 17-year-old daughter registered as a free Negro in Washington, D.C. on July 26, 1827. A mulatto woman, daughter of Sophia Bates of Dumfries, Virginia, who was born free. All right. Next, we have Cyrus Bates, head of a Prince William County household of 5 other free in 1810. Fanny Bates, head of a Prince George County, Virginia household of 7 other free in 1810. Hetty Bates, head of a Prince George County, Virginia household of 7 other free in 1810. Then Archibald Bates, head of a Prince George County, Virginia household of 1 other free in 1810. All right, relatives, so that was the Bates family. Again, we got some good dates, counties that they were in. So the Bates surname comes up in your genealogy. Good information to go off of here. All right, next we have the Batterton family. Elizabeth Batterton, born, say, 1740, of the island of Nevis in the Caribbean, placed an ad in the June 29, 1769 issue of the Virginia Gazette seeking the whereabouts of her son Joseph Batterton, a free Negro man of the island. She stated that he embarked on the sloop Sally, bound for Maryland, but the ship's captain had made 2 voyages since Joseph embarked and brought no news or account of him to his parents. She offered a reward of $20 or whatever that means for information about her son. She was the mother of Joseph. And then we got Thomas Batterson, Negro, enlisted in the Revolution as a substitute in Anne Arundel County after October 1780. Then it says perhaps identical to the Batson family that follows. All right, relatives, so that was the Batterton family. And it looks like this name is coming up for you. It says the island of Nevis in the Caribbean. So if you're stuck, if this is your surname, you kind of stuck somewhere, maybe try the Caribbean genealogy to look up this information. All right, let's keep it moving. Next, we got the Batson family. Susanna Batson, born, say, 1750, certified her freedom in Prince George's County on July 25th, 1804. Susanna Batson and her 11 children, namely Viz, Caleb, Duke, Bryce, Daniel, Lloyd, Mary, Betty, Susanna, Orphe, Sally, and Ariel, are born free as they have been living in the neighborhood of Piscataway for upwards to 20-odd years. She was a free Negro, head of a Prince George's County household of 14 other free in 1800 and 9 in 1810. It says she was the mother of Caleb, Duke, Bryce, Daniel, Lloyd, Mary, Betty, Susanna, Orphe, Sally, and Ariel. It says other members of the family were Vachel, born about 1793, obtained her certificate of freedom in Anne Arundel County on August 27th, 1817. A Negro man, aged about 24 years, black complexion, freeborn. Then next we have William Patterson, or Batson, obtained a certificate of freedom in Prince George's County on July 31st, 1819. A Negro man, 5 feet 6 inches tall, with a very black complexion. He was born of a free woman of color in Prince George's County, but was bound by 2 justices of the peace on July 1st, 1808 to Thomas Richardson, where he learned the blacksmith business. He became free on August 15th, 1814. All right, relatives, that was the Batson family. All right, again, if that surname's coming up, we did get some really good information, birth dates, and also counties where they live. All right, moving on. Next, we have the Bean family. So we got Jane Bean, born, say, 1743, was the mother of Jeremiah, born about 1763, obtained a certificate of freedom in St. Mary's County on September 29th, 1828, son of Jane Bean, aged about 65 years, bright complexion, born and raised in St. Mary's County. Then we got Jacob, a mulatto, taxable in the lower district 100 of Dorchester County in 1783, and head of a St. Mary's County household of 4 other free in 1800. Next, we have Lucy, head of a St. Mary's County household of 1 other free in 1800. All right, so that was the Bean family. Again, some good birth dates, counties where they lived. So that surname comes up. You can definitely dig in here. All right, let's keep it moving. Next, we have the Bevan family. So members of the Bevan family were James, a mulatto, taxable in the 3rd district of Charles County in 1783. Paul, mulatto, head of a Charles County household of 1 other free in 1790. Susanna, mulatto, head of a Charles County household of 1 other free in 1790. Next, we have Nancy Riley, born about 1779, obtained a certificate of freedom in St. Mary's County on September 1st, 1809. Commonly called Nancy Bivens, complexion very bright, hair long and straight, born free, being born of a free white woman named Jane Cecil, and raised in St. Mary's County. All right, relatives. So again, that was the Bevan family. Again, we got some good dates, actually, where these people were living. It looks like Charles County, Maryland. And we also see that they did change the spelling of the last name as well. So check both spellings. All right, let's keep it moving. All right, so next we have the Beckett family. So let's dig in. Peter Beckett, born, say, 1655, was a Negro slave who was taxable with Thomas Driggers from 1671 to 1677 in the Northampton County, Virginia household of John Iris. Says Sarah Dawson, a white servant, was another member of Iris' household. She was born about 1661. Since her age was adjudged to be 16 years when Iris brought her into Northampton County Court on November 26, 1677. 7 years later, in 1684, she was given 21 lashes in order to serve Iris another 6 years for having 3 bastard mulatto children by her said master's Negro slave, Peter. Now I'm assuming that's Peter Beckett. On May 30th, 1687, and May 28th, 1688, she was presented for bastard bearing, and the following year, on July 29, 1689, was called Sarah, the wife of Peter Beckett, slave to Major John Iry. When the court ordered one of her children released to her, she, finding sufficient security to save the parish harmless from said child. All right, and then it shows where you can see these court dates and minutes. On July 28, 1702, she consented to the indenture of their daughter Anne, daughter of Sarah Beckett, to Miss Anne Iry until the age of 18. Peter was free by November 30th, 1703, when Peter Beckett and Sarah, his wife, successfully sued John Moran for debt in Northampton County Court. John Robbins brought an action upon the case against him, but neither party appeared when it came for trial in January 21st, 1717, 18. Peter and Sarah's descendants were All right, so we got Peter, born, say, 1683. Rebecca, born, say, 1692, taxable in the household of John Driggers in 1726. And we got William, born, say, 1695. We got Anne, born December 10th, 1697. Had a child by John Driggers in Northampton County in 1716. Jean, born, say, 1700, common law wife of Thomas Driggers in Northampton County. Then we got Elizabeth, born, say, 1705, common law wife of John Driggers or Drighouse. All right, keep it moving. It says Peter Beckett, born, say, 1683, was taxable in Bogerter Norton Hundred of Somerset County from 1723 to 1740. Listed with Devereux Driggers in 1725 with his son William Beckett in 1737 with his son Devereux Beckett in 1740. He was fined 2 shillings 6 pence for uttering an oath in Somerset County in 1727. He was special bail for Devereux Driggers on November 17, 1730, when Devereux admitted in Somerset County Court that he owed Christopher Glass 500 pounds of tobacco and 650 pounds of beef, which he had contracted for in writing on November 10, 1729. The inventory of his Worcester County estate, taken by Arcata Oakey on May 10, 1751, totaled 129 pounds and listed Bridget Doves and John Nieberg as nearest of kin. The second inventory, taken on January 23, 1754, by Joseph and his wife Arcata Oakey, included debts from William Cornish, Simon Collick, and Nathaniel Morris. 1/3 of the estate went to Peter's widow, Mary Beckett, and a remainder to his son, Bede Beckett, and daughter Arcata Oakey and Hannah Beckett. The estate paid Samuel Hanser 7 shillings. Peter was the father of. All right, so we got William, born, say, 1716. Arcata married Joseph Oakey. Hannah. We got Devereux, born, say, 1723, taxable in Somerset County in 1740, probably named after Devereux Driggers. And we got Solomon, taxable in Mispillion Hundred, Kent County, Delaware, from 1743 to 1762. And then we got Beatty, born, say, 1740. All right, let's keep it moving. Relatives. William Beckett, born, say, 1695, was taxable in Kent County, Delaware, from 1726 to 1756. Listed in Little Creek Hundred, charged with the tax of Driggers in 1727, called William Beckett Sr., from 1749 to 1756. When he was listed in Dover Hundred near Nehemiah Hanser and Samuel Hanson, William was called a yeoman when he purchased 2 lots of ground within the town of Dover for 12 pounds by Kent County, Delaware, deed on April 2nd, 1754. He left a January 31st, 1757 Kent County will, proved May 7th, 1757, leaving Mary Consular a bed, furniture, and a sorrel mare, his daughter Comfort a horse, his son Nathan a gun, his son William a shilling, his daughters Sarah and Mary each a mare, and his wife Comfort all his lands. It says Nehemiah Hanser witnessed the will. William was probably the father of the illegitimate child Mary Consular had in Kent County in August 1728. And he was probably related to a mulatto child, Abraham Beckett, who was supported by Richard Wills, Esquire, from the county levy in November 1757, and Tabitha Becket, a poor woman, supported by Lydia Wells, from Kent County levy in November 1758. Then it says Comfort and her daughter Mary Becket sold 50 acres in Dover 100, Kent County, on the north side of the Dover River on March 31st, 1758. Mary Becket sold 50 acres in Dover 100, Kent County, on the north side of the Dover River on March 31st, 1758. And it says William was the father of William, born, say, 1720. Comfort, born, say, 1723. Nathan, born, say, 1728. Taxable in the Dover 100 in 1758 and 1759. Sarah, born, say, 1734. Mary, born, say, 1736. Charged Reich Miller in November 1771 with being the father of her illegitimate child. All right, let's keep it moving, Rellies. Says B.D. Becket, born about 1738, was a 21-year-old born in Maryland, who was listed in the May 11, 1759 muster of Captain John Wright's captain in the French and Indian War. It says extracted as Betty Bullitt in the same list with Samuel and Thomas Hanser of Sussex County that included mostly men born in Sussex County. It says he married Ann Butler, no race indicated for either, in Sussex County on April 21st, 1763, and their son William was born on July 12, 1768. And it says Beatty, a laborer, purchased 118 acres called Good Luck on the east side of the Green Branch in Sussex County on May 1764 for 37 pounds. He was a delinquent taxable in Sussex County in 1767, taxable in Broadclyn 100 in 1774, and Nanticoke 100 delinquent in 1787. And it says he died about 1787 when Peter Becket was granted administration on his estate. And it says he was the father of William, born July 12, 1768, called William Butler Becket, when he was taxable in Sussex County in Nanticoke 100 near Peter Becket in 1791, and in Little Creek 100 in 1796. And then we got BD taxable in Nanticoke 100 adjoining Peter Becket in 1795. All right, let's keep it moving, relatives. William Becket, born, say, 1720, was taxable in Little Creek 100 in 1741 and 1742. In the same list as Samuel Hansen, taxable in Dover 100 in 1748 to 1769. Listed in Samuel Hansen's levy in 1748, called William Becket Jr., perhaps deceased in 1769 when he was a Dover 100 delinquent. In November 1752, he was fined £5 by the Kent County Court for keeping a tippling house without a license. He was called William Becket Jr., yeoman, on February 13, 1754, when he purchased 100 acres in the forest of Murder Kill 100 on the north side of Millston's Bridge for £35. And it says he may have had a child by one of Samuel Hansen's slaves. On January 27, 1770, Hansen made a deed of manumission by which he freed 3 slaves named Becket. All right, so we got Charles, born about December 1740, a Negro about 30 years and 1 month old on January 27, 1770, when Samuel Hansen of Kent County set him free by manumission, recorded in May 1775. And it says he was a Negro, head of a Dover 100 household of 3 other free in 1800. Next, we have Peter, born about June 1744, a Negro about 25 years and 7 months old on January 27, 1770, when Samuel Hanson of Kent County set him free. And it says he served in the first company of the Delaware Regiment in the Revolutionary War and received pay from August 1st, 1780 to November 4th, 1783. And let's see. It says he married Betty Driggers on November 27, 1788 in Sussex County, Delaware. He was administrator of the Sussex County estate of B.D. Becket in 1787. And it says on October 3rd, 1792, he and his wife Elizabeth of Broadclyn 100 sold for 120 pounds, 118 acres in Broadclyn 100, Sussex County, which Peter had purchased from the estate of B.D. Becket. He was a taxable in Nanticoke 100, Sussex County in 1791 and 1795, and taxable in Little Creek 100, Sussex County on a horse, cow, and a calf, and a shoat in 1796. He was a Negro, head of a Delaware household of 3 other free in 1800 and 2 in 1810. All right, next we have Isaac, born about November 1747, 23 years and 7 months old on January 27, 1770, when Samuel Hanson of Kent County set him free when he reached the age of 25. He was head of a Dover 100 household of 3 other free in 1800. All right. It says other members of the family were John, born after 1775, head of a Worcester County household of 10 free colored in 1830. And in notes, it says 1740 is the last list of titleables for Somerset that included a portion of the county that formed Worcester in 1742. All right, relatives, so that was the, scroll back up here. That was the Becket family. And we got some really good information in there. Again, dates of births, counties that the people lived in, names. So if the Becket surname's coming up in your genealogy, this is definitely a good source because it has a lot of information in it. All right, relatives, let's keep it moving to the next family. All right, so next we're going to be doing the Badeau family or Bedeau family. So it says Martha Badeau, born, say, 1693, was a servant of Thomas Coleman of Benedict 100 on June 12, 1711. Excuse me, it says, when she presented by the Charles County Court for having a mulatto child, she admitted her guilt in court 2 months later on August 14, when the court ordered that she serve an additional 7 years and bound her child to Coleman for 31 years. She was presented for the same offense on June 9, 1713, and on August 9, 1713. She bound her 4-month-old son, James, to Coleman. On March 9, 1735-36, the court ordered Coleman to bring her mulatto daughter, Eleanor, before the court to have her bound out. It says she was the mother of James, born about April 1713, bound apprentice to Thomas Coleman of Benedict 100, Charles County, on August 9, 1713. And we got Eleanor, born, say, 1715. Eleanor Bedeau, born, say, 1715, was the mulatto daughter of Martha Bedeau. On June 12, 1744, the Charles County Court convicted her of having an illegitimate child and ordered that she receive 12 lashes. The court also ordered her son James bound out to Edward Goodrich until the age of 21. She was the mother of James, born about 1744, a 13-year-old boy bound to serve until the age of 21. When he was listed in the inventory of Charles County estate of Mr. Edward Goodrich on March 17, 1757, head of a Charles County household of 9 other free in 1800. And we got William, head of a Charles County household of 10 other free in 1810. Nancy, head of a Charles County household of 4 other free in 1810. M, head of a Prince George's County household of 2 other free in 1810. R, head of a Prince George's County household of 3 other free and a slave in 1810. Then E, head of a Prince George's County household of 3 other free in 1810. All right, relatives. So that was the Bedu or Bedo or Bedu or Bedu family. Again, not very long, but we got some good dates of birth, names, and county. All right, so let's keep it moving. All right, next we are going to do the Bentley family. All right. Mary Davis, born, say, 1657, the daughter of Richard Davis of London, England, was a white woman who married a Negro man named Domingo, the slave of Joseph Tilley of Calvert County, Maryland. Mary and Domingo were living with Lord Baltimore when she wrote the details of her marriage and the birth and baptism of her children in a Bible. Her daughter Rose produced a transcript of the Bible in Anne Arundel County Court in August 1715 in an unsuccessful petition for her freedom. Mary and Domingo were the parents of. We got Thomas, born March 14, 1677, on Lord Baltimore's plantation on Lions Creek in Calvert County, baptized by Mr. Wesley in the house of Richard Massams. James and Ann Thompson were the godparents. Then we got Rose, born August 11, 1684. All right, keep it moving. Rose Davis was born August 11, 1684 at the Top of the Hill plantation in St. Mary's County. Says she was baptized at Notley Hall by a priest named Mr. Richard Hebert, with Henry and Rose Wharton as godparents. Rose was 31 years old in August 1715 when she brought an unsuccessful suit for her freedom against Henry Darnell in Anne Arundel County Court. Rose was listed in the Anne Arundel County inventory of the estate of Henry Darnell Sr. in 1713. And it says, Negroes at the dwelling house, one mulatto woman, Sue, age 33, 28 pounds. At James Watlin's, 2-quarter Negroes, one mulatto woman, Rose, age 29, 28 pounds. At the Woodyard Negroes, one mulatto, David, a carpenter, age 45, 40 pounds. One ditto Frank, age 40, 40 pounds. One ditto Jack, age 35, 30 pounds. One ditto Tom, a carpenter, age 30, 45 pounds. One ditto Charles, due age 15, 25 pounds. One Negro Bentley, age 20, 30 pounds. Then it says one mulatto woman, Mall, with child, a month old, age 34, 29 pounds. All right, let's keep it moving. In March 1779, her granddaughter, Rosamond Bentley, petitioned the Prince George County Court for her freedom. And in August 1781, Rosamond and her brother William and sisters Mary, Eleanor, and Margaret Bentley won their cases. In an apparent effort to minimize their African ancestry, Rose's witnesses testified that the family descended from Mary Davis, a white English woman, and an East Indian man instead of a Negro man, as stated in Mary Davis' Bible, and her witnesses describe Rose's daughter as Indian Polly. All right, and it says Rose was the mother of Polly, born, say, 1710. All right, keep it moving. Polly Bentley's, born, say, 1710, was called Indian Polly, was the mother of Rosamond, William, Mary, Eleanor, and Margaret Bentley. Polly was the slave of Lettice Thompson when she died of smallpox, according to the testimony in Prince George's County. Her children were Mary, born, say, 1731, Rosamond, born, say, 1733, William, born, say, 1736, Eleanor, born, say, 1738, and Margaret, born, say, 1741. All right, let's keep it moving, relatives. It says Mary Bentley, born, say, 1731, was a slave of William Diggs on November 27, 1781, when she and her three children, Lucy, Sophia, and William, won their freedom in Prince George's County Court. The court also freed her children. Sarah, it says, slave of Mr. Knox of Charles County, Isaac, John, and Mary, slaves of Miss Eleanor Carroll, and Rose and Eleanor, slaves of John Fitzgerald of Virginia. Then it says she was the mother of Isaac, born, say, 1753, a slave of Miss Eleanor Carroll, John, born, say, 1755, a slave of Miss Eleanor Carroll, Mary, born, say, 1758, a slave of Miss Eleanor Carroll, Rose, born, say, 1760, a slave of John Fitzgerald of Virginia, Eleanor, born, say, 1763, a slave of John Fitzgerald of Virginia, Lucy, born, say, 1765, Sophia, born, say, 1768, William, born, say, 1770. All right, let's keep it moving, relatives. Rosamond Bentley, born, say, 1733, recovered her freedom on August 28, 1781, by a suit she brought against Anthony Addison in Prince George's County Court, in which she proved she was the granddaughter of Rose Davis, who was the daughter of a white woman. Rosamond was the ancestor of Nancy Barton, born about 1768, obtained a certificate of freedom in Prince George's County on April 22nd, 1813. A bright mulatto woman about 45 years old and 5 feet 6 inches tall, descendant of a certain Rosamond Bentley, who recovered her freedom in Prince George's County Court in a suit against Anthony Addison. Then we got Eleanor or Nellie Cooper, born about 1771, obtained a certificate of freedom in Prince George's County on April 2nd, 1813. Says Eleanor Cooper, a bright mulatto woman about 42 years old and 5 feet 5 inches tall. She is free, being descendant of a certain Rosamond Bentley, who recovered her freedom in Prince George's County Court in a suit against Anthony Addison. All right, let's keep it moving, relatives. So we got Eleanor Bentley, born, say, 1738, and her 5 children, Polly, William, John, Sophia, and Bet, were the slaves of John Hawkins on November 27, 1781, when they petitioned the Prince George's County Court for their freedom. It says Eleanor's children were Polly, born, say, 1760, William, born, say, 1763, John, born, say, 1765, Sophia, born, say, 1768, Bet, born, say, 1770. All right, let's keep it moving. Then it says Queen Anne's County. All right. So Sarah Bentley, born, say, 1710, was declared levy-free for the future by the Queen Anne's County Court on December 12, 1770. She may have been the mother of. We got Isaac, born, say, 1730, described as a mulatto fellow, alias Protus, on August 14, 1760, when Richard Tillman, Earl of Queen Anne's County, advertised in the Maryland Gazette that he had run away with an English convict servant man named Benjamin Williams. Then we got Peter, married Elizabeth, widow of James Greenwich of Queen Anne's County, between September 29, 1767, when the inventory of James Queen Anne's County estate was taken, and November 24, 1768, when the account of the estate was recorded. Next, we have Margaret, presented by the Queen Anne's County Court in November 1772 for bastardy. Then we got Deborah, married Solomon Haycock, December 14, 1782, banned by the Jesuit mission in Cordova, Maryland. Peter and Protes, witnesses. And then we have John, a free Negro, charged with assault by the Queen Anne's County Court in July of 1786. Okay, and it says another member of the family was Polly, born, say, 1773, living in Fredericktown, Frederick County, Maryland, on April 22nd, 1811, when her son William Bentley, by Edward Younger, obtained a certificate of freedom. She may have married Edward Younger, the Polly who was named as his wife when his son obtained the certificate. All right, relatives, so I believe that was the Bentley family, if I'm correct. Let's scroll up here and look. Yes, okay. So that was the Bentley family. Again, a lot of good information. We got surnames, we got dates of birth, and counties. All right, so definitely dig in on that. Let's keep it moving. So next we have the Berry family. All right, members of the Berry family in Maryland were William Negro, head of a Kent County household of 3 other free in 1790. Then we got James, head of a Kent County household of 4 other free in 1800. Sarah, head of a Kent County household of 6 other free in 1800. Henry, head of a Kent County household of 3 other free in 1800. Catherine, head of a Kent County household of 2 other free in 1800. And it says Polly, born about 1779, obtained a certificate of freedom in Prince George's County, Hort, on August 24th, 1819. It says Anne Proctor, a white woman, swears that Polly Berry was born free, as was Polly's mother. Polly is a bright mulatto woman who is about 40 years old. Copy of registration from the District of Columbia. All right, relatives, that was the Berry family. Again, we got some names, counties, and some dates. So if the Berry family is coming up in your genealogy for the Maryland area, this is definitely some good information to look at. All right. Next, we have the Bishop family. All right. Thomas Bishop, born, say, 1700, was an Indian who was credited with 1 wolf's head by the Talbot County Court in November 1723. He may have been identical to Thomas Bishop, a Choctaw Indian who sold land in Dorchester County in 1726 and 1727. He, Abram Bishop, Peter Monk, and William Corhonk were Indians who owed the Dorchester County estate of William Pitts about a shilling each on February 16, 1762. He may have been the ancestor of Abraham, an Indon, or Indian, who owed the estate of William Pitts 1 shilling 6 pence on February 16, 1762. head of a Dorchester County household of 3 other free in 1800. And we got Abraham, head of a Dorchester County household of 2 other free in 1800. Abraham Bolsip, head of a Dorchester County household of 1 other free in 1800. Jacob, head of a Little Creek Hundred, Sussex County, Delaware household of 7 other free in 1800. London, head of a Kent County, Maryland household of 5 other free in 1800. And 3 free colored in Little Creek Hundred, Kent County, Delaware in 1820. And it says Samuel, free Negro, head of a Kent County, Delaware household of 3 other free in 1810. All right, relatives, again, some really good information on the Bishop family. Even talks about the Indian heritage in this particular line. Again, some good dates, counties, names. So, if that shows up in your genealogy, this is definitely a good place to look. Some good info. All right, relatives. Next, we are going to do the Black family. All right. So it says members of the Black family in Maryland were William, born, say, 1720. Charles, Negro, head of a Kent County, Maryland household of 3 other free in 1790 and 4 in Cecil County in 1800. He may have been, again, identical to Charles Black, head of a Gunpowder Hundred, Baltimore County household of 4 other free in 1810. Then we have James, head of a Cecil County household of 7 other free in 1800. Lewis, head of a Dorchester County household of 5 other free in 1800. Joe, free Negro, head of a Prince George's County household of 6 other free in 1800 and 4 in 1810. All right. Then next we have William Black, born, say, 1720, married Esther Banneker on September 22nd, 1744 in St. Paul's Parish, Baltimore. They may have been the ancestors of Esther, a free Negro, taxable in Elkridge Hundred and Arundel County in 1783, head of a Back River Upper Hundred, Baltimore County household of 5 other free in 1810. And we got Caleb, head of a Back River Upper Hundred, Baltimore County household of 6 other free in 1810. Then we have Charles, head of a Back River Upper Hundred household of 5 other free in 1810. Next, we got Fanny, head of an Annapolis household of 5 other free in 1810. Hannah, head of a Baltimore City household of 4 other free in 1810. Elizabeth, head of a Pipe Creek and North Hundred, Baltimore County household of 4 other free in 1810. Then we have Reed, head of a Pipe Creek and North Hundred, Baltimore County household of 2 other free in 1810. All right, relatives. So that was the Black family. Again, some very good dates when people were born, names, and a few different counties listed here too. So this is definitely some good information. All right, let's keep it moving. Next, we have the Blake family. Members of the Blake family of Maryland were listed in the inventory of the Somerset County estate of Mr. Thomas Robbins on November 14, 1732. Hannah, valued at £3 in 1732. She was a spinster charged in Somerset County court with having an illegitimate child in All Hallows Parish on January 10, 1732, but excused because she was a Black woman and thus not subject to punishment for fornication. All right, that's weird. Comfort, valued at £5, 10 shillings in 1732. George, valued at £10 in 1732. Samuel, valued at £10 in 1732. He purchased 54 acres in Worcester County called Partnership, and the house where he was then living from George Blake on March 2nd, 1763, and on May 15th, 1772. He and his wife, Mary Blake, sold the land to Daniel Mifflin. Next, we have Sarah, valued at £1, 10 shillings in 1732. Charles, valued at £3 in 1732. All right, next we got, let's see, George Blake, born, say, 1725, was valued at £10 in the estate of Thomas Robbins. In 1732, he surveyed 1,357 acres between the Pocomoke River and the seaside near Gibbs Ferry and Littleton Creek. And it says on September 29, 1759, and was called a Negro or mulatto, when he and his wife Esther sold the land, called Partnership, in the parcel of about 50 acres each. He sold to Samuel Blake, 54 acres, and the house where Samuel was then living on March 2nd, 1763. And he sold the last 100 acres called Elvin Ridge and Blake's Lot to Bowdoin Robbins for £40 on September 14, 1764. He may have been the George Blake Sr., free mulatto, who bound himself as a servant for 1 year to Mr. John Rock by Worcester County deed on December 7, 1797, for £15. He was head of a Worcester County household of 4 other free in 1790 and 4 in 1800. He may have been the father of. We got George, taxable in Mattapony 100, Worcester County in 1783. Captain John Selby, surety. He was a free mulatto who bound himself as a servant to Joseph Delastius in Worcester County for 18 months for £20 on September 3rd, 1797. Then we have Levin, sold lot number 60 in the town of Snow Hill by Worcester County deed of September 6, 1782. He was head of a Worcester County household of 2 other free and a slave in 1800, and 11 other free in 1810. He purchased 20 acres called Amity and Amity's Addition in Worcester County for £60 on April 5th, 1802. Then we have Charles, head of a Worcester County household of 2 other free in 1800. He purchased a Negro man named Bebo from Affrey D. Johnson for $1 by Worcester County deed of April 21st, 1832. All right, keep it moving. It says other members of the Blake family were Betty, born, say, 1742. Jacob, born about 1756, applied for a pension in Worcester County Court on June 20th, 1818, and February 28th, 1821, for his services in the Revolution. He stated that he enlisted at Snow Hill in 1780 and was discharged at Annapolis. His household consisted of his wife, who was 70 years old, a son who was 16, a 19-year-old daughter, another daughter who was blind, and 4 grandchildren. It says his property was valued at $40. Then we got Edward, a mulatto who enlisted and served in the Revolutionary War. Then we got Oliver, drafted into service in the 3rd Regiment from Worcester County, Maryland on May 7, 1781 for 3 years. Delinquent on December 10th. He was taxable in Mattapony of Worcester County in 1783. Michael Tarr was his surety. And then we have William, head of a Baltimore town household of 2 other free in 1790. Perhaps the William Blake, who was a Negro, head of a Worcester County household of 8 other free in 1800. All right, next we have Henry, Negro, head of a Worcester County household of 9 other free in 1800. Then we have Harmon, Negro, head of a Worcester County household of 7 other free in 1800, probably named for the free American Indian Harmon family of Worcester County. He owed £6 to the Worcester County estate of Thomas Robbins on December 22nd, 1770. He was head of an Accomack County household of 2 free colored in 1830. And we got James Sr., Negro, head of a Kent County household of 6 other free in 1800. And we have James, head of a Dorchester County household of 6 other free in 1800. Then we have another James, born before 1776, head of a Worcester County household of 5 other free in 1800, and 4 in 1810, and 5 free colored in 1830. We got another James, taxable in Mattapony 100, Worcester County in 1783. John Redding, his surety. He was head of a Worcester County household of 5 other free in 1800 and 8 in 1810. Then we got James Jr., head of a Kent County household of 4 other free and a slave in 1800 and 2 other free in 1810. Then we got David, head of a Baltimore City household of 6 other free in 1800 and 8 in 1810. Next, we have Peter, born before 1776, head of a Worcester County household of 8 free colored in 1830. And we got Henry, born before 1776, head of a Worcester County household of 3 free colored in 1830. Then we have Sally, born before 1776, head of a Worcester County household of 3 free colored in 1830. Esther, born before 1776, head of a Worcester County household of 8 free colored in 1830. Next, we have Benjamin, born about 1782, obtained a certificate of freedom in Talbot County on September 9th, 1822. A Negro man, about 40 years of age, 5 feet 10 and a half inches high, born free and raised in Talbot County. Then we got Stanley, born about 1770, head of a Dorchester County household of 4 other free in 1800, obtained a certificate of freedom in Dorchester County on August 5th, 1806. Copper color, born free, raised in Dorchester County, aged about 36 years. He was probably related to the Stanley family of Dorchester County. All right. Next, we have Hannah, born about 1771, set free by Daniel Mifflin in Worcester County on June 16, 1776. Head of a Worcester County household of 4 other free in 1800. Next is Rachel. Negro, head of a Worcester County household of 3 other free in 1800. Mary, born in April 1769. Archibald, head of a Kent County household of 1 other free in 1800. James, born about 1768, obtained a certificate of freedom in Dorchester County on June 6, 1807. Blackish color, long hair, born free, aged about 39. Then we got Lucinda, born before 1776, head of a Talbot County household of 10 free colored in 1830. All right, let's keep it moving. Next, we have Betty Blake, born, say, 1742, was set free with her children, Susie, John, and Comfort Blake by Daniel Mifflin in Worcester County on June 16, 1776. She was the mother of Susie. John, born about 1759, testified in the Somerset County case against free Negro Jacob, alias Jacob Purnell, who was charged with stealing 5 hogs belonging to Thomas Martin. On March 4th, 1806, John testified that he was living at Jacob's house for about a month and saw Jacob and Robert J. H. Handy's slave Moses kill the hogs in Jacob's stable, salt them, and bury part of them in a barrel in the garden. Jacob, a free Negro, bound himself as a servant to Benjamin Purnell Jr. By Worcester County deed of July 2nd, 1779. Jacob Purnell was head of a Worcester County household of 6 other free in 1810. On April 28, 1835, John Blake, called a colored man, was about 76 years old when he testified in Philadelphia for the pension application of Daniel Williams. He stated that he was born in Accomack County and lived near and was well acquainted with Daniel Williams, a colored man who was drafted into the Army to drive teams. John had resided in Philadelphia about 15 years past, where he again met Williams and had frequently seen him engaged in driving the team. Says Comfort, born in December 1776. All right, let's keep it moving, relatives. We got Mary Blake, born in April 1769, was set free by Daniel Mifflin in Worcester County on June 16, 1776. A Negro, head of a Worcester County household of 2 other free in 1800. She made a Worcester County bond with John Gunn as surety to keep the state of Maryland harmless from the illegitimate child named Levin, which she bore on January 10, 1783. She had a child named Peggy by Levin Cambridge in November 1790. She was the mother of. Says Levin, born January 10, 1783, and Peggy, born in November 1790. Okay, then it goes on to say members of the Blake family in Delaware were James and son, head of a Newcastle County household of 10 other free in 1800. And we got Abram, perhaps the unnamed son, counted in James Blake's Newcastle County household in 1800, head of a Newcastle County household of 6 other free in 1810, and 6 free colored in Mill Creek Hundred, Newcastle County in 1820. Then we have Edward, born 1776, to 1794, head of a Newcastle County, Delaware household of 7 other free in 1810, and 8 free colored in Aquidneck Hundred in 1820. Then we got John, head of a Little Creek Hundred, Kent County, Delaware household of 4 other free in 1800, and 5 free colored in Wilmington Borough, Newcastle County in 1820. Then we got Rosanna, born before 1776, head of a Wilmington, Newcastle County household of 4 free colored in 1820. All right, relatives. So that was let's go back up here. Let's see, that was the Blake family. Sorry about that. So again, if that surname is coming up, we have some outstanding information here, a lot of it. So you got counties, you got dates, people were born, where they were living in certain time frames. So if the Blake surname shows up in your ancestry, this was definitely a good place to look. All right. So I think we're going to stop there on the surnames for the family history. And when we do this again, we will be starting with the Borman family. All right. So let me stop screen sharing. All right, relatives, again, I appreciate you sitting through that. I know that was long, but again, necessary, so that we can find, our family members and our ancestors, so we can tie back to this land. All right. So as always, I appreciate every single one of you. Um, one love, and I will see everyone next time. Later.